At this time, we'll call to order the Oklahoma City Board of Adjustment meeting for March 21, 2013. We are in the council chambers. It's 1:30 p.m. I would remind everyone here to please turn off your cell phones at this time if you have not already. The great thing about today is we have a very short board meeting. The bad thing about that is the next meeting is going to be really lengthy. The first order of business is to receive the minutes of March 7, 2013. At this time, I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second. Would you please cast your votes? Minutes are approved. The next matter of business is a request by staff or applicants for a continuance. I see on our agenda today we have items Roman numeral 4D and 6 that requests for extensions are requested until, is it April 4th, 2013, Kathy?
Item number 6 is asking for a continuance to April 18th. Item number 7 is asking a continuance to April 4th.
Okay, and do we need to vote on those separately? Okay. I'd entertain a motion to continue those to those respective dates.
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Please cast your votes. Those continuances are granted. Are there any other requests for continuances or extensions at this time? If there are none, we will proceed to hear our first matter.
Item number 1, case number 13690, request of MA Architecture for a variance to the maximum building height, parking requirements, and to allow exposed exterior metal located at 2609 North May Avenue.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good.
My name is Marcia Gallant. I'm a representative of MA Plus Architecture at 4000 North Classen Boulevard.
Very good.
We are working on the Taft Stadium renovation. The existing stadium was built in 1934, give or take. We are demolishing everything, the bleachers existing inside of the historic WTPA wall, and rebuilding new bleachers. With this new set of bleachers we are also constructing a new press box. 2 of the 3 items for our variance are the height and material on the press box. At one time, I thought the press box is about 10 feet taller than what is allowed by our R1 zoning. And I originally thought it was about 5 to 10 feet taller than what is there existing. I went out this morning, and it turns out the new is the same height as the existing.
Okay.
As for the material, we are going to be using an architectural metal. It is not your typical, not a siding. It's a very finished, pre-finished architectural metal. It's very low maintenance. They won't have to paint it.
Aesthetically pleasing, nice looking.
Yes.
The other thing the staff I noticed mentioned was an issue about being 30 feet closer to the west property line. Can you speak to that, please?
It is closer than what the existing press box is. That is due to the configuration of the new bleachers that we will be putting up, and as well as we are putting an elevator in, whereas their current one does not have an elevator. So that will be for accessibility standards. So that, as well as the increased capacity for the press box, pushes the actual press box back.
Are you aware of any objections to the proposed variance?
Not that I'm aware of.
Does any of the board members, does anyone have any questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Isn't there's 2 variances here? There's the parking.
There's actually
okay.
3. 2 are for the press box, the height and the material. The third is the parking. We are confined in our site by the existing parking lot size, and we are completely redoing the parking lot to make it more efficient. There's potholes. We're actually adding more parking spaces than there are currently, but it's not enough for a stadium. Right now they use Northwest Classen High School parking lot for parking, which is across the street, and we propose to continue doing that.
Okay. Any questions? I'd entertain a motion at this time.
I'll move approval.
Is there a second? Second. Please cast your votes. You are approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming today.
You have a great day.
Item number 2, case number 13691, request of Spidal Tribeco for a variance to the hard surface paving requirement located at 9525 Pole Road.
Good afternoon.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Richard Warren. I'm the engineer and the builder of the project. My architect hasn't got here yet. I wonder if I could go last and wait for him to get here, because he's the one that was going to handle it, or I can go ahead and present it to you myself.
I can tell you there's been no unfavorable considerations that came from the staffs.
Basically, what all this amounts to is when you pull into the plant, they work on a 12-foot piece of stainless steel that goes down into the well. They'll come through the building. That's all paved, 6-inch paving with a 6-inch gravel underneath it. But the back of the building is where they stack their pipe, and they have forklifts driving. There will be no off-road vehicles going, or on-road vehicles going back there. The only thing that will be back there is forklift. It'll be like the yard in front where they have the pipe stacked there on racks. And that will have a 6-inch hard base, grade 1 rock on it.
Good. Does anyone have any questions about this application?
I move for approval.
Second. Please cast your votes.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you very much.
Tell him we're sorry we missed him.
I'm gonna. He's like me, though. He's getting old.
Item number 3, case number 13692, request of the City of Oklahoma City for extension of the time period to the landscaping and screening requirements and to permit gravel parking located at 1326 Northeast 23rd Street.
Good afternoon. How are you? Fine. How are you? Good, good, thanks.
I'm Joe Van Bullard with Oklahoma City Urban Renewal Authority, and this application is at the request of the city, but Urban Renewal is working with the mosque that's located over on Northeast 23rd Street. We're just not as far enough along as we thought we'd be. We received a 2-year variance back in January 2011, and we'd like to request another 2-year extension. I can tell you that we have the conceptual drawings for the main mosque building, that we will trade the property with the mosque congregation for some property on Northeast 16th and MLK. And the spud for the new location on 16th and MLK is being crafted now and will be coming before the Planning Commission shortly.
So the extension would be until January 2015, is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Any questions from any?
I do. The application is for a 1-year extension, am I correct?
Well, it says 1 year on number 2, but if you go to the second page, under item number 3, it states 2 year, and the 2 years what we can't get all the plans done and the mosque constructed and then relocated out of there within 1 year deal.
So is the request for 1 year or 2 years?
2 years.
Not to exceed 2 years. Not to exceed 2 years.
We didn't get any protests.
I don't think there's any protest, and I think what he's asking not to exceed January of 2015.
Yes, sir.
Is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll move that one.
Is there a second? Please cast your votes. You're approved. Thanks for coming today.
Item number 4, case number 13693, request of Barco Investments for a variance to permit canopies in the front yard setback located at 14145 and 14201 Broadway Extension.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is James Thomas. I'm with USA Shade and Fabric Structures. Barco Investments is the owner of the lot that Jackie Cooper BMW sits on. And what we're doing is we're going to be putting hopefully putting some fabric canopies for hail protection along the front row on the inside of the setback on your property that abuts Broadway Extension.
So that would be the BMW and the Minis, or just?
Well, along both those properties, yes, sir.
Okay.
They both adjoin one another there.
Okay. One thing I've noticed is that the staff mentioned that this is a substantial encroachment. Could you speak to that, please?
Well, basically what it boils down to, all the car dealers, of course, put their cars along the front row there. And we just came before you about 8 or 9 months ago on Eskridge Honda Southside, similar situation. What they're trying to do is utilize that space to showcase their inventory, but because of these last hailstorms we've had the last few years, they're worried about their expensive inventory.
We did something similar to this down the road, didn't we, at the car wash, where
It was on
by there
Memorial
on
Road,
Saturday,
and he simply wanted a place to dry his cars and...
But it was the same type of structure.
My concern with this is that you're going to have cars out there most of the time. And is that going to impair any kind of traffic as far as that goes along that line?
The cars can be there anyway. They're inside in the parking lot.
So they're parked out in the easement anyhow?
They're not in the easement. They're up to the easement. They're right up to the front property line.
Okay.
They're just requesting to cover that.
So it won't be a detriment to traffic or anything, no more?
No, the cars are there already.
Okay.
I think the last time when we improved something similar to this, we wanted to make sure that there was no blockage, that you could see through them, and it was only
Absolutely.
a roof and not...
It's where the cars are currently parked now. There won't be anything near the driveways or anything. It's just literally putting a canopy over the existing parking area that they're inventorying their cars at.
But it won't block the site back to
No,
to
sir.
the west
No, sir.
from Broadway Extension.
It's just, in thinking about those last 100-year storms that we've had this last 2.5, 3 years, too, that was a wind-driven hail, too, and, seldom does hail fall straight from the sky.
Correct.
So you may or may not enjoy protection from that. You're more likely to not to have to wash as often,
To give you an idea, the Lexus store, the Lexus store from Eskridge had very little damage, where this last hailstorm, they had a little over $1,800,000 worth of damage.
No, there's no question it was a damaging storm. I'm just wondering about canopies with no sides.
You're right. The hail that comes down horizontally gets it, but they're really interested in trying to eliminate as much as possible.
If we consider this variance request and tie it to this use in this place of business or something like that, is that an appropriate thing to consider?
You can continue as to the use, not as to the applicant.
To the use. So as long as it's there as a car lot, it's an approved use. If the use changes from a car lot,
They'd have to come back,
it would be not allowed.
and that's the way you
Correct.
form the motion.
Under those circumstances, any other discussion? I would make a motion to approve contingent upon and tied to the use as a car dealership or a car lot.
Is there a second for that?
Second.
Would you please cast your votes? You're approved.
Thank you
Thanks
very
for
much.
coming.
Appreciate it.
Item number 5, case number 13695, request of Oklahoma Christian University for a variance to permit a softball training facility with exposed exterior metal located at 2501 East Memorial Road.
How are you?
Hi, I'm Ryan Eshelman with GSP Architects here on behalf of Oklahoma Christian University.
What is your address?
Our address is 3555 Northwest 58th Street.
Thank you.
In Oklahoma City. I brought an exhibit here on the screen which just simply illustrates the location of our project. The university is building a new women's softball facility on campus. If you don't mind flipping through the slides for me, campus has essentially an academic zone, a student housing zone, and along its northern boundary, an athletic zone. There's a baseball complex, there's intramural fields, there's a softball complex which is being reconstructed, and a soccer field and a track. On the western perimeter, on the western edge of that zone is a building called the Barn. It was built in the 50s. It was where the university's basketball team played up until, I believe, the 60s or 70s. It's basically a metal building. It's now used for supporting basketball camps and other things. But that metal building, painted university gray, has been there for about 50 years. We are proposing to add, as a part of the softball complex, an indoor training facility, which will be used, obviously, for inclement weather training and practice. It is proposed to be primarily a metal building with some brick accents. The PUD in which the university resides allows for use of metal, gray metal, as an accent material, but not as a primary material. So the variance we're requesting is to use that as a primary material. You can see the relationship. There is residential area to the north of the campus. The site of this proposed facility is about 450 feet to the nearest residential use. But again, this is requested solely because of the athletic use in this area, substantial additional cost to clad the entire building in a more expensive brick material. This is a view of the complex from the south side. You can see the facility in question to the left. There is some accent brick, particularly on the entrance side, that makes that facade tie into the overall design. So you will see that the that appearance of building with the metal and lower brick accent on the north side.
Can you tell us a little bit about the aesthetics of the material that's being used?
It is a pre-finished metal panel over a pre-engineered frame. So again, it's not a field-painted metal panel, but it is a typical for that type of building.
Sure.
And it's going to be used in the university gray color, which is consistent with all of the metal roofs around campus.
And it's 450 feet away from the nearest residential.
Correct. There is a modest tree line that follows a drainage course. So there are a few trees between this building and the residential area. So obviously in the summer months, it's a little bit more difficult to see that building.
Sure. Any questions from any of the?
I was going to ask if the ratio to brick veneer to the other exterior elements of the building, is that consistent with the existing buildings in this part of the campus?
Well, really in this athletic zone, the only existing building is that barn building that I spoke of, and there's absolutely no masonry whatsoever on that building. It's 100% metal, so we'll have 15%, 10-15% down low on the building, kind of, where mower damage and those kind of things occur in some selected areas.
Board have any other questions? There being none, would someone propose a motion?
That campus is...
There you go.
That campus has, it's grown over the years quite a bit, and you've done a fantastic job of keeping that campus very well manicured and everything else, and I'm sure with this building you're going to do the same thing. And with that, I would recommend approval.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Would you please cast your votes? You're approved. Thanks for coming
very
today.
much, gentlemen.
Good presentation.
Thank you.
Is that all the agenda items? I would entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We are adjourned. Thanks for coming today.